Gretna Green is a village in the south of Scotland famous for runaway weddings. It is in Dumfries and Galloway, near the mouth of the River Esk, and was historically the first village in Scotland, following the old coaching route from London to Edinburgh. Gretna Green railway station serves both Gretna Green and Gretna. The Quintinshill rail crash, with 226 deaths, the worst rail crash in British history, occurred near Gretna Green in 1915. Gretna Green sits alongside the main town of Gretna. Both are accessed from the A74M motorway and are situated near to the border of Scotland with England. Marriage. Gretna Green is one of the world's most popular wedding destinations, hosting over 5,000 weddings each year in the Gretna Green area, and one of every 6 Scottish weddings. It has usually been assumed that Gretna's famous runaway marriages began in 1754 when Lord Hardwicke's Marriage Act came into force in England. Under the Act, if a parent of a minor objected, they could prevent the marriage going ahead. The Act tightened up the requirements for marrying in England and Wales but did not apply in Scotland, where it was possible for boys to marry at 14 and girls at 12 with or without parental consent. It was, however, only in the 1770s, with the construction of a toll road passing through the thitherto obscure village of Gretna, that Gretna Green became the first easily reachable village over the Scottish border. The old blacksmith's shop, built around 1712, and Gretna Hall blacksmith's shop became, in popular folklore at least, the focal tourist points for the marriage trade. The old blacksmiths opened to the public as a visitor attraction as early as 1887. The local blacksmith and his anvil have become the lasting symbols of Gretna Green weddings. Scottish law allowed for irregular marriages, meaning that if a declaration was made before 2 witnesses, almost anybody had the authority to conduct the marriage ceremony. The blacksmiths in Gretna became known as anvil priests, culminating with Richard Renison, who performed 5,147 ceremonies. One of the keenest chroniclers of the Victorian era, Robert Smith Surtees, described Gretna Green at length in his 1848, New Monthly Magazine serial, The Richest Commoner in England, few of our Riad Ursa Euro, none we should think of our fair Anisa Euro, but at some period or other of their lives, have figured to themselves the features of Gretna Green. Few we should think but have pictured to themselves the chaise stained with the variations of each soil, the galloping bustle of the hurrying postboys, urging their foaming steeds for the last stage that bears them from Carlisle to the border. It is a place whose very name is typical of brightening prospects. The poet sings of the greenest spot on memory's waste, and surely Gretna Green was the particular spot he had under consideration. Gretna Green. The mind pictures a pretty straggling, half-Scotch, half-English village, with clean white rails, upon a spacious green, and happy rustics in muffin caps, and high cheekbones, looking out for happier couples to congratulate. Then the legend of the blacksmith who forged the links of love, added interest to the place, and invested the whole with fairy feature. How much better, brighter, more promising, in short, a Gretna Green marriage sounds than a Coldstream or Lamberton Tall Bar one. And yet they are equally efficacious. Gretna Green indeed, is as superior in reality as it is in name. It looks as if it were the capital of the god of love, while the others exhibit the bustling, trading, money-making pursuits of matter-of-fact life. Though we dare say Gretna Green is as unlike what most people fancy, still we question that any have gone away disappointed. It is a pretty south country-looking village, much such as used to exist in the old days of posting and coaching. A whole house converted into an hotel, and the dependents located in the neighbouring cottages. Gretna Hall stands a little apart from the village on the rise of what an Englishman would call a gentle eminence, and a Scotchman a dead flat, and is approached by an avenue of stately trees, while others are plentifully dotted about, one on the east side, bearing a board with the name of the house, the host and high priest, Mr. Linton. There is an air of quiet retirement about it that eminently qualifies it for its holy and hospitable purpose. Since 1929, both parties in Scotland have had to be at least 16 years old, but they still may marry without parental consent. In England and Wales, the age for marriage is now 16 with parental consent and 18 without. Gretna's two blacksmiths' shops and countless inns and small holding became the backdrops for tens of thousands of weddings. Today there are several wedding venues in and around Gretna Green, from former churches to purpose-built chapels. The services at all the venues are always performed over an iconic blacksmith's anvil. Gretna Green endures as one of the world's most popular wedding venues, and thousands of couples from around the world come to be married over the anvil and Gretna Green. In common law, a Gretna Green marriage came to mean, in general, a marriage transacted in a jurisdiction that was not the residence of the parties being married, to avoid restrictions or procedures imposed by the parties' home jurisdiction. A notable Gretna marriage was the second marriage in 1826 of Edward Gibbon Wakefield to the young heiress Ellen Turner, called the Shrigley abduction. Other towns in which quick, often surreptitious marriages could be obtained came to be known as Gretna Greens. In the United States, these have included Elkton, Maryland, Reno and, later, Las Vegas. In 1856 Scottish law was changed to require 21 days residence for marriage, and a further law change was made in 1940. The residential requirement was lifted in 1977. Other Scottish border villages used for such marriages were Coldstream Bridge, Lamberton, Mordington and Paxton Toll. In popular culture, an anvil was installed in Gretna, Manitoba, Canada, to symbolize the blacksmith and the source of the town's name. In an episode of the BBC series You Rang, M'Lord, two of the characters elope to Gretna Green. This then prompts two other characters to elope in a similar manner. However, they are stopped before they reach their destination. In Love and Friendship by Jane Austen, the main characters convince an impressionable girl to elope with an acquaintance to Gretna Green. In Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, when Lydia Bennet elopes with George Wickham, she leaves behind a note stating that their intended destination is Gretna Green, though later they are found in London. In The Richest Commoner in England by Robert Smith Surtees, Tom Rocket proposes a Gretna Green match to Maria Moley Dewey, to escape the persecution of the lawyers, and the parsons, and the toast-givers, and the devil knows what. Surtees tells his readers that Moley was dumbfounded at the proposition, or perhaps she thought it pretty to be so, for it was not the first, nor the second, nor the third time, that she had had a similar offer. Habit familiarises ladies' ears to the sound, just as Lord Byron said men's ears became used to the cock of the pistol. In Nemesis by Agatha Christie, Miss Marple references Gretna Green in passing, noting, there was no need for them to fly off to Gretna Green, they were of sufficiently mature age to marry. In the novel A Poisoned Season by Tasha Alexander, the main character Lady Emily Ashton discusses with her suitor whether he loves her enough to consider eloping to Gretna Green. At the end of the novel, secondary characters Lord Pembroke and Isabel Elliot elope there. Some scenes of Legrand's vacancies with Louis de Funès were set there. In the BBC drama Waterloo Road, Francesca Montoya and Jonah Kirby flee to Gretna Green to be married. In the BBC soap opera EastEnders, Sam Mitchell and Ricky Butcher flee to Gretna Green, as they are both teenagers, in 1991. Two couples elope to Gretna Green in Lisa Kleypas's Wallflower book series. In Lindsay Sand's romance novel The Heiress, the main character's goal is to marry at Gretna Green. In the second series of Downton Abbey, Lady Sybil Crawley and the chauffeur Tom Branson set off for Gretna Green with plans to elope, before being caught by her sisters. In the soap opera Coronation Street, Sophie Webster and Shan Powers nearly run off to Gretna Green to elope. In 1998 Nick Tilsley married Leanne Battersby at Gretna Green. Season 3 Episode 7 of the BBC series May to December, Zoe surprised Alec with a trip to Gretna Green to be married. In the Japanese manga series Embalming the Another Tale of Frankenstein, Azalea and Philip are on their way to Gretna Green to elope. In the book The Meaning of Life by Douglas Adams, Gretna Green is defined as a shade of green which makes you wish you'd painted whatever it was a different color. Gretna Green, a lost 1915 silent film about lovers headed to Gretna Green starring Marguerite Clark, based on the then-popular novel by Grace Livingston Fordyce. In Sylvester, or The Wicked Uncle by Georgette Heyer, in which Phoebe Marlowe is thought to have eloped with Tom Ord to Gretna Green. In the 1949 Hitchcock movie Under Capricorn, Sam Flusky and Lady Henrietta were a runaway couple married at Gretna Green. See also, Owabogie, Las Vegas weddings, references. Further reading, Survey Land Ranger Map, UK, Ordnance, ISBN A0-319-22685-9AA 1, 50,000 scale. External links, Gretna Travel Guide from Wyke Voyage, Gables Wedding Hotel and Venue, Gretna, SCO, Ukar. Anvil Hall Wedding Venue, Gretna, SCO, Ukar. The Wedding Bureau, Gretna, SCO, Ukar. Wedding History, Gretna Green, SCO, Ukar. Directory, Gretna Green, SCO, UK, Weddings. The Registrar General, Scotland, Ukar.